ये रेडियो दस्तक का प्रसारण है एफएम बैंड 90.8 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर मालवा का अपना पहला कम्युनिटी रेडियो। रेडियो दस्तक बोलता है मन की बोली।
नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सुन रहे हैं आपका अपना और उज्जैन का पहला कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन रेडियो दस्तक 90.8 एफएम। दोस्तों, स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे खास कार्यक्रम एक हस्ती से मुलाकात में, जिसमें हम आपकी मुलाकात करवाते हैं किसी विशिष्ट हस्ती से। और दोस्तों, आज हम आपकी मुलाकात करवाने वाले हैं एक नहीं बल्कि दो खास हस्तियों से। जी हाँ दोस्तों, आज ये हमारा सौभाग्य है कि रेडियो दस्तक 90.8 एफएम के स्टूडियो में मौजूद हैं हिज एक्सीलेंसी मिस्टर जेवियर मैनुअल पोलेनिच वेलार्दे जी और एम्बेसी ऑफ पेरू से ही फर्स्ट सेक्रेटरी मिस्टर फाबियो सूबिया डियाज जी, जिनसे होगी आज कुछ खास बातचीत। और ये बातचीत करेंगी उनसे मिस घनिष्ठा गरोडकर और मिस पूजा यादव जी। तो आइए सुनते हैं रेडियो दस्तक 90.8 एफएम पर विशेष कार्यक्रम एक हस्ती से मुलाकात।
So I would like to ask you some question. Very first is, so can you please tell our listeners of Radio Dastak 90.8 FM about the culture of Peru country?
First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting us to talk to your audience. And about Peru, Peru is like India and could be a surprise for you. Peru is as old as India is. We have a history of 5,000 years, the oldest in Latin America and Caribbean, in fact. For instance, we know, of course, about Harappa culture. We have Caral culture. Both grew at the same level on time, 5,000 years old. This is why Peru is quite identified with India in their history. That means we share some values, we share some long history in our culture, in our people. And this is why we like India. We think it's a great country, a great culture, even a civilization, as well as Peru.
I would like to know from you, Mr. Fabio Subia Diaz, what are your thoughts about India?
Well, India, I think it's an excellent example of a big democratic country that has managed to unite people that are historically been in the same place but that have some differences, and they have united them under the same flag, right? You get enormous diversity within the country. You get Tamil Nadu in the south, you get until the north, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, and you can see this diversity being reflected in their food, in their language, in their customs, and this makes India very rich. And within this diversity, you also get excellent examples of entrepreneurship, innovation, that you can see, for example, in the startups and companies that are now leading the way to some of the biggest advancements in tech and in science. You know, so India is a growing economy, one of the biggest and most important ones in the world, and it's also poised to be, I think, the third growing biggest economy by 2030. No, so I think that gives you a very good idea to all the listeners of how big this country really is and how much bigger it's bound to become.
That was really thoughtful, sir. You've studied so much about India, sir.
So next question I would like to ask.
Please.
Since you have in India, how are you feeling, sir?
Well, first of all, I have been here before as an ambassador. I spent 6 years from 2009 till 2015. And now recently I come back in the same position. I have been here this second time almost 2 months ago. How I feel? Like home, like Peru. Because as Fabio already mentioned, there are some parallelisms, some similarities between Peru and India. That means it's almost like my house. I'm very happy to be here. In fact, I wanted to come back to India because I feel so pleasant, so good that I enjoy all the time. For instance, speaking to you, speaking to your listeners here
pleasure, sir.
in Ujjain, no? This is how I feel. Fantastic.
If I may add something to Ambassador's intervention, I think that there are many bridges that unite our countries that many people do not think about on a regular basis. You know that at the turn of the 15th century, a very important product from Peru was brought into India, which is potatoes.
Oh, and we all love potatoes.
And you all love potatoes. You wouldn't have your dahi aloo, your samosas without potatoes, right? And potatoes come from Peru. I've seen some varieties of potatoes here in India, but in Peru we have 4,000.
Varieties of potatoes.
Yes, 4,000. And so Indians now enjoy potatoes thanks to Peru, but also chilies. And chilies are important because in Peru we have 3,000 varieties. And before they were introduced into India, people only used to spice their food with kali mirch.
Yes, black pepper.
Exactly. And now we have two products that will forever unite our countries.
Forever and ever.
Yes, sir.
And that's we like the most. We enjoy. There are so many things we have to learn from these two honorable guests that we have here.
We are feeling so grateful that
We have got this
gotten
opportunity.
and you are aware about the Indian culture and the food and everything.
So, sir, my question to you is that can you give any message to the listeners?
Well, first of all, that you have a country like Peru in Latin America that admire you as a country, as a culture, as a people. We like yoga, for instance. We like Bollywood films. People, especially ladies, young ladies, are organizing clubs about Bollywood films. And that's fantastic because that kind of activities you can realize strengthen our relationship as from people.
Sir, my question to you is that क्या आपने अभी तक कोई हिंदी पिक्चर देखी है?
I'm afraid my Hindi is not that advanced. Do you want me to say something in Hindi?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Our listeners would love to hear you speaking in Hindi.
Okay, then allow me to uplift your listeners with a small shloka. So, शायर ने कहा है.
Irshad?
Oh, this is a funny one. किस किस को फिक्र कीजिए, किस किस को रोइए, आराम बड़ी चीज है, मुड़ा के सोइए.
Wow.
You've learned so many things. So you are here to attend the film festival, right?
Yes.
So what are your perceptions regarding the film festival?
Well, we have been invited to this ancient film festival that we appreciate this invitation because I already said the history of Peru should be known in India. We are going to present two films this morning. One called The Lost City of Nazca, and the second one, The History of the Incas. Both are expression of our history in our country, and I'm sure they are going to enjoy these films this morning.
Well, I will have to thank our dear friend here, Akshat. I think he's been quite instrumental in organizing this visit, and he is the one who introduced us to this institution. And kindly invite us to also enjoy the beauty of Ujjain, which we also know that is quite an ancient city, the capital of a very ancient empire, and also instrumental in as a site of pilgrimage for the Kumbh Mela, right?
Yes, sir.
Sihast?
Yes, sir. Where so many sadhus, priests, yogis come here.
I know that the time as a concept started here.
So I just wanted to add that this film festival is showing films from around the world, but I especially wanted to invite the people in Ujjain to come and watch the Peruvian films which will be streamed today, later in the day, after the inauguration, because these are films that, as we mentioned today, showcase a culture that, while far in Latin America, is also quite close to India. And so you will see some of the resemblances during the films, and we hope that this will constitute a window and a fitting introduction to the culture of another cradle of civilization, which is our country, Peru. My name is Fabio Subia, and my message is Radio Dastak 90.8 FM. Sunego Ujjain, Barega Ujjain. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable views and giving your precious time. It is our pleasure to have you both as guests at Radio Dastak 90.8 FM. Thank you so much, sir.
तो दोस्तों, अभी आप सुन रहे थे आपके अपने रेडियो दस्तक 90.8 एफएम पर विशेष कार्यक्रम एक हस्ती से मुलाकात। और आज की हमारी विशिष्ट हस्ती थी पेरू एम्बेसडर हिज एक्सेलेंसी मिस्टर जेवियर मैनुअल पॉलिनिच वेलार्दे जी, और एम्बेसी ऑफ पेरू से ही फर्स्ट सेक्रेटरी मिस्टर फाबियो सुबिया डियाज जी। और दोस्तों, आज इस विशिष्ट चर्चा में हमने बहुत कुछ जाना पेरू के बारे में, पेरू और भारत के रिश्ते के बारे में, और बहुत सी रोचक जानकारियां आज हमें मिली। हम रेडियो दस्तक 90.8 एफएम की ओर से धन्यवाद करना चाहेंगे हमारे दोनों ही विशिष्ट अतिथियों का कि उन्होंने अपना कीमती समय यहाँ पर दिया और हमारे रेडियो दस्तक 90.8 एफएम के श्रोताओं से इतनी सारी जानकारियाँ साझा की। दोस्तों, हमें पूरी उम्मीद है कि आपको ये कार्यक्रम पसंद आया होगा। अपने सुझाव, अपने प्रश्न आप हमसे साझा कर सकते हैं हमारे व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9406894068 पर। साथ ही और भी कई सारी जानकारियों के लिए आप जुड़ सकते हैं हमारे सोशल मीडिया अकाउंट्स फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम, ट्विटर, शेयर चैट और यूट्यूब पर। दोस्तों, अब समय हो चला है आपसे विदा लेने का, लेकिन आप कहीं मत जाइए, सुनते रहिए आपका अपना रेडियो दस्तक 90.8 एफएम। सुनेगा उज्जैन, बढ़ेगा उज्जैन। नमस्कार।
आप सुन रहे हैं 90.8 एफएम, तो सुनते रहिए और सुनाते रहिए रेडियो दस्तक।